The blinding white of the hospital ceiling greeted me, a stark contrast to the swirling darkness that had consumed me. A profound quiet enveloped the room, a far cry from the frantic beeps and hurried whispers that had been my reality moments before. Just the rhythmic, shallow sound of my own breath filled the space, a somber underscore to the heavy realization that something had gone terribly wrong. My name is Anya. 12 years navigating the often treacherous currents of family dynamics had taught me painful lessons, yet none prepared me for the treachery my own brother would unleash while I lay vulnerable in this bed. You've had a severe health crisis, Anya, the doctor had explained earlier, his voice gentle but firm. Recovery will span several weeks. I absorbed his words, my thoughts already leaping ahead to Lena, my 12-year-old daughter. She was staying with Sophia, my dearest friend, a small comfort in the face of this unforeseen disruption. The unnerving silence was abruptly shattered by Sophia's rushed entry. Her face was etched with distress, her hands trembling visibly. Anya, I'm so profoundly sorry. I tried my utmost to prevent it, but— Prevent what, Sophia? What's happened? Is Lena safe? I pressed, my voice weak. Lena is absolutely fine. She's at her therapy session with Ingrid, Sophia assured me quickly. It's the transporter. Stefan has sold it. My mind reeled, struggling to grasp her words. What transporter? Your adaptive transporter. The one custom-fitted for Lena's use. The vehicle, a vital piece of equipment uniquely modified for Lena's mobility needs, represented our connection to the world, her independence. We had painstakingly acquired it with the insurance payout after my husband, Thomas, passed away. Stefan appeared with some documents while you were unresponsive, Sophia explained, her voice laced with disbelief. He claimed you had authorized the sale. The room seemed to tilt precariously. That cannot be right, I whispered, a cold dread spreading through me. He wouldn't, I would never. I attempted to contact your parents. Sophia continued, her fingers tightening around mine. They actually stated they were aware of it. My hand shook as I reached for the phone resting on the bedside table. Mother answered on the third ring, her tone immediately defensive. Anya, is this regarding the transporter? Stefan mentioned discussing it with you, she went on, not waiting for a reply. Mother, I am in the hospital. How could I possibly have discussed anything with him? There's no need for dramatics. Lena seldom leaves the house anyway. Stefan required the funds for a promising venture, and you weren't utilizing it. The familiar, chilling indifference in her voice sent a fresh wave of cold through me. Lena attends therapy 3 times weekly. She has school, medical appointments. How is she meant to? You consistently complicate matters. Mother sighed impatiently. Stefan is endeavoring to assist the family unit. He promised to distribute the profits once the venture proves successful. I terminated the call before she could utter another word. A flood of unwelcome memories washed over me. Stefan borrowing money meant for my university fees. Stefan persuading our parents to leverage their home for his failing restaurant enterprise. Stefan perpetually taking, while our parents indulged and encouraged his behavior with placid smiles. My phone vibrated, it was Stefan. Hello, sis, his voice drawled lazily. Feeling better, are we? Where is the transporter? I demanded, dispensing with pleasantries. Relocated it to a buyer in Gdansk. Secured a considerable price, too. Don't fret, he chuckled, the sound grating on my nerves. I'll ensure you receive your share once the investment takes off. This is monumental, Anya. Potentially life-altering. You had absolutely no justification to do that. He laughed, a genuine mocking sound. Honestly, you're being quite absurd. Lena can simply utilize standard transport options like everyone else. Cease being so overly sensitive about trivial matters. It was modified specifically to accommodate her condition. Indeed, and those alterations incurred excessive costs. Look, I genuinely did you a favor, he stated, his voice losing its false warmth. You must learn to release things occasionally. The connection went dead. I stared at the silent phone, my hands trembling with a mixture of fury and helplessness. But beneath the overwhelming rage, something else began to stir. A cold, deliberate resolve that had been lying dormant, awaiting precisely this moment. Because what my brother failed to understand, what my parents consistently neglected to acknowledge, was that I had dedicated years to preparing for potential eventualities such as this. Every financial account was meticulously safeguarded, every asset secured, every relevant document carefully compiled and stored. Thomas's death had been a brutal education in the precariousness of financial security. It wasn't solely about physical barriers and alarms, it was about being prepared when those you are supposed to trust reveal their true nature. My phone screen illuminated once more. A text from Lena. Mum, when are you coming home? The new driver doesn't seem to know how to secure my chair properly. I closed my eyes, battling the surge of tears. My sweet, courageous child, striving so valiantly to adapt while her own flesh and blood betrayed her. However, they had made a critical miscalculation. They believed my hospitalization had rendered me powerless. They were about to discover just how profoundly mistaken they were. I opened my banking application and activated the security alert I had established years prior. Within seconds, a notification appeared. Unusual deposit activity detected. Account flagged for further examination. Stefan's audacious plans were about to implode, and this, I knew, was merely the prologue. The hospital room felt increasingly confining as the hours passed. I watched Lena during our video call, my heart aching as she bravely attempted to sound cheerful about missing her art class because the new transport service had inexplicably canceled at the last moment. It's all right, Mum. I can catch up next week, she said, adjusting her spectacles. But I discerned the fleeting shadow that crossed her face, the subtle tremor in her voice. Darling, there's something I need to share about the transporter. I know, she interrupted softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Uncle Stefan sold it. I overheard Grandma discussing it on the phone. Of course, she had overheard. Lena possessed a perception far sharper than her years suggested. I am so incredibly sorry, sweetheart. I should have. Please don't apologize, Mum. It's not your fault. She paused, then added, Grandma mentioned we were being selfish about the transporter anyway, that ordinary families don't require specialized vehicles. The familiar surge of anger ignited within me. I recalled every instance they had disregarded Lena's specific needs. Birthday celebrations held in inaccessible locations. Family excursions planned without the slightest consideration for her wheelchair. The constant, dismissive refrain of "you're coddling her excessively" whenever I voiced a concern. My phone vibrated with a text message from Sophia. Stefan just attempted to withdraw 50,000 euros from his account. The bank has flagged it as suspicious. He's currently causing a scene at the downtown branch. A small, grim smile touched my lips despite the circumstances. The pieces were beginning to align themselves. Lena, my love, I need to make some crucial calls, I explained. I'll video chat with you again before bedtime. Okay, Mum. Her voice trembled slightly. Are you going to argue with them again? No, darling, I stated with quiet conviction. This time I am going to prevail. After ending the call, I contacted Merrick, my lawyer. He answered immediately. Anya, I anticipated your call, he said calmly. Sophia has apprised me of the situation regarding the transporter. What legal avenues are available to me? Essentially, your brother has engaged in fraudulent activity by disposing of property to which he held no legal title, Merrick explained. I have already initiated the necessary procedures to freeze his assets and track the proceeds from the sale. However, there's another pertinent detail you should be aware of. I held my breath, anticipating his words. The funds he obtained from the transporter. He attempted to utilize them as collateral for a substantial loan, Merrick continued. When that transaction was flagged, he then attempted to funnel the money through your parents' accounts. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Allow me to hazard a guess. They facilitated this. They made the attempt. But recall the protective measures we implemented after Thomas's passing. They are functioning precisely as intended. Following Thomas's death, I had acquired a harsh understanding of financial vulnerability. Stefan had even attempted to contest the will, asserting I lacked the capacity to manage Thomas's estate. That period marked my initial meeting with Merrick and the commencement of constructing my financial safety net. My phone illuminated with an incoming call. Stefan again. I chose to let it divert to voicemail. Your brother appears increasingly desperate, Merrick observed dispassionately. He has made 3 attempts to access various accounts within the last hour. Each attempt triggers another notification. Excellent, what steps do we take now? We wait, Merrick replied. The bank's fraud department is already conducting a thorough investigation. Once they establish the connection between the transporter sale and these irregular transactions. My phone buzzed once more. A text message from Mother. Stefan is claiming you are creating difficulties at the bank. Why can you never consider anyone other than yourself? I displayed the message to the nurse who was monitoring my vital signs. She simply shook her head in silent disbelief. Sometimes, family can inflict deeper wounds than the incident that landed you here, she remarked softly. Another notification materialized. An email from Ingrid, Lena's physical therapist. Documentation detailing transportation challenges affecting therapy schedule attached. Please advise if any further information is required for legal proceedings. I had forgotten requesting her to meticulously record everything. Kind, thorough Ingrid, inadvertently strengthening my case. My phone rang again. Stefan's wife, Alina, this time I answered. Anya, what precisely is occurring? Stefan cannot access any of his accounts. That is rather peculiar, I responded calmly, my voice devoid of emotion. Perhaps he ought to inquire with the cryptocurrency platform he seemed so enthusiastic about. This is not amusing. We have financial obligations. As did we, I countered. Yet, Stefan proceeded to sell our transporter regardless. A brief silence ensued. He claimed you had consented to it. I was unconscious in a hospital bed. Another pause, lengthier this time. Oh God! After she disconnected, I closed my eyes and reflected on Lena's question. Was I preparing for another conflict with them? No. Conflict implied a measure of fairness and equal footing. This was not destined to be a mere conflict. My phone pinged with another alert. Significant withdrawal attempt declined. Account suspended pending investigation. I permitted myself a small smile. This was not a conflict, it was a reckoning. Just a day after Thomas's funeral, Stefan appeared at my residence clutching a stack of documents, his smile sympathetic but failing to reach his eyes. You're understandably overwhelmed with grief, he had stated smoothly. Allow me to manage the estate matters. You have more than enough to contend with regarding Lena. I remembered observing him across the kitchen table, contemplating the countless times he had managed affairs for our family, the speculative investment schemes, the failed business ventures, the mysterious expenses that invariably seemed to deplete shared funds. No, I had simply replied. That moment marked my introduction to Merck, a young attorney, sharp-witted and surprisingly formidable for someone specializing in corporate law. He had assessed my situation and immediately understood precisely what was required. Now, 3 years later, I was witnessing the culmination of those preparations from my hospital bed as Merck calmly outlined the latest developments. The buyer of the transporter is cooperating fully, he reported, arranging papers across my bedside table. He is prepared to return it once we definitively prove the sale was fraudulent. However, that is not the most significant discovery. What is? The trajectory of the money. Your brother made considerable efforts to conceal it, but his cunning is not as profound as he perceives. Would you care to know the actual destination of the transporter funds? I nodded, a sense of grim anticipation settling upon me. Gambling debts, Merck revealed, not the sophisticated cryptocurrency venture he touted. He has been systematically losing substantial amounts for months. My phone buzzed, a text message from Sophia. Stefan just departed their house in a fit of rage. Your parents contacted me, demanding explanations regarding the accounts. They are beginning to experience apprehension, Merck observed coolly. Shall we escalate the pressure? I envisioned Lena's face during our video call, her brave attempts to mask her disappointment. Proceed, I instructed. Merck made a call, conversing in the precise legal terminology I had come to understand over the years. When he concluded the call, a faint smile played on his lips. The bank's fraud department has formally launched a comprehensive investigation. They will be contacting his employer before the end of the business day. As if on cue, my phone rang. Mother, once again, I activated the speaker function. What have you done? She demanded, her voice strained. Stefan claims his accounts are frozen. Fascinating. Has he disclosed the reason? He insists you are being deliberately vindictive about the transporter. He was attempting to benefit the family by perpetrating fraud. It was not fraud. He possessed the requisite documentation. Forged documentation, I interjected, my voice steady. Mother, created while I was unconscious. Would you find it beneficial to present that information to the bank investigators? A moment of silence stretched between us. When she finally spoke, her voice was altered, softer, laced with uncertainty. You failed to comprehend. He required the funds for an investment. Gambling debts, I corrected, my tone unwavering. Inquire about the casino receipts. He can undoubtedly provide details. The line went dead. My phone screen lit up with another notification, an email originating from Stefan's company's Human Resources Department, a response to an anonymous report concerning financial impropriety. I forwarded it to Merck. "Excellent timing," he remarked. "I have just completed filing the paperwork for the civil action." A gentle knock at my door interrupted our discussion. Ingrid, Lena's physical therapist, entered carrying a substantial folder. "I have assembled everything," she stated. "Therapy schedules, transport logs, comprehensive documentation of all missed appointments since the transporter was sold." She hesitated momentarily. And she added softly, "Lena specifically requested I give you this." She extended a drawing towards me. It was one of Lena's art therapy creations. It depicted our family as simple stick figures, with Stefan and my parents positioned on one side of a wide, jagged fissure in the earth, while Lena and I stood together on the other. Above the chasm, she had painstakingly printed the words, "Some broken things cannot be mended." My throat tightened with emotion. "Thank you, Ingrid." After she departed, Merck began reviewing the documentation. "This is exceptionally useful. It clearly demonstrates a significant detrimental impact on a minor's medical care. The judge will." My phone buzzed again. A text from a distant family acquaintance. "Are you aware Stefan is hosting a celebratory dinner this evening? Something about early retirement." I showed the message to Merck. He raised an eyebrow. "Commencing the festivities somewhat prematurely, wouldn't you agree?" "Not for much longer." I accessed my banking application and initiated the final protocol we had meticulously established years ago, a complete trace and freeze across all interconnected accounts. "Are you absolutely certain about this, Anya?" Merrick inquired, his voice quiet. "Once we activate this sequence, your family." "He bartered my daughter's independence for gambling funds," I stated softly, my gaze fixed on the drawing. "While I was incapacitated in a hospital bed, and my parents actively defended his actions." Merrick simply nodded and placed the final call. Within minutes, my phone began a relentless barrage of notifications, texts, calls, alerts. The system was functioning precisely according to its design. "Anya," Merrick's voice was gentle, a stark contrast to the digital storm. "There is no turning back from this. Your family." They forfeited their claim to being family the instant they deemed Lena's needs an inconvenience. I gazed at her drawing once more. "Some broken things cannot be mended," I murmured, "but perhaps they can be replaced by something more resilient." My phone illuminated with one final notification. Multiple accounts frozen pending criminal investigation. The storm was about to break with full force, and I was fully prepared. Precisely at 9:47 a.m., the deluge commenced. I recall the exact time because I was watching the clock when Stefan's initial frantic call pierced the relative calm of my hospital room. "What in the name of everything is happening?" His voice was raw with desperation, cracking under the strain. "I can't access anything." "Really? How exceedingly inconvenient for you," I responded, my voice deliberately devoid of warmth. "Almost as inconvenient as having your essential transportation illicitly sold without your consent." "This is not humorous, Anya. I have crucial meetings scheduled with investors today." "Gambling debts do not qualify as investments, Stefan." The line went silent for a strained moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lowered, imbued with a dangerous edge. "What do you know about that?" "Everything. The casino records, the associated loans, the falsified documents." Shall I continue itemizing? "You utterly despicable." "Exercise caution," I interrupted, my tone sharp. "Every utterance you make is currently being recorded as evidence for the ongoing investigation." He abruptly disconnected the call. Exactly 3 minutes later, my parents called. "Your brother is here, Anya," in tears, Mother stated, her voice accusatory. "You must rectify this immediately." "Rectify precisely what?" "The fraud he perpetrated, the theft, the deception." "He merely made a mistake," Father interjected, his voice weary. "We are family, we are bound to forgive." "Such as the forgiveness you extended to me when I required assistance with Lena's extensive medical expenses, or when Stefan disputed Thomas's will." "That situation was entirely different," Mother snapped, her control slipping. "Stefan was merely attempting to safeguard the family's finances from." "From what exactly? From a disabled child?" "Do not deliberately distort our words," Father shouted, his voice rising. "You have consistently been excessively dramatic." "Indeed, and what precisely is the implication of that?" that I am unwilling to permit Stefan to steal from me, that I am fiercely protective of my daughter. You are actively betraying your family. Mother was openly weeping now. After all we have sacrificed and endured for you. I emitted a laugh, a cold, harsh sound that surprised even myself. That was not an act of betrayal, it was an act of self-preservation. After concluding the call, I sent a text message to Sophia. How is Lena? Safe and sound at my place. Your brother just drove past, looking furious. I've notified the police. My hands trembled slightly as I dialed Merck's number. Already addressed Anya, he stated before I could articulate my concern. A restraining order was filed 10 minutes ago. Law enforcement is fully apprised. Another incoming call. Elena, Stefan's wife again. The bank contacted his office, she disclosed softly. They are formally initiating an investigation. Anya, the things they are alleging he did, they are all true. She began to weep quietly. He insisted it was merely an unfortunate investment, that he could resolve everything. He offered identical reassurances regarding the restaurant venture, I reminded her gently, and the tech startup, and the real estate scheme. What course of action should I pursue? Secure competent legal counsel, I advised, and sever your financial accounts while it remains a possibility. The subsequent call originated from Stefan's workplace. His supervisor's voice was stiff and formal. Mrs. May, we require verification of certain information pertaining to specific financial transactions. I directed him to Merck. Within an hour, Stefan was suspended pending the internal investigation. My phone buzzed with a text from Lena. Uncle Stefan just called Grandma, she's crying very loudly. Are you all right, Mum? I am perfectly fine, darling. Remain with Sophia. I understand precisely what you are doing, she responded. And I am not upset. Tears welled in my eyes. My intelligent, acutely perceptive daughter, comprehending far more than a child her age ever should. A nurse entered to perform my vital sign checks. Your blood pressure is elevated, she noted with concern. Would you prefer I restrict visitors? No, they are unlikely to come here, I replied softly. They invariably avoid confrontation when circumstances become challenging. She gently patted my hand. Family complexities, matters of justice. My phone screen illuminated once more. A detective this time. Mrs. May, we are investigating reports concerning fraudulent asset transfer and related harassment, she stated. Do you possess documentation verifying original ownership of the transporter? My legal representative will furnish all relevant materials. And the individual in question, your brother, has he recently been near your property? Kindly consult my friend Sophia. She has access to security footage. After the detective concluded the call, I closed my eyes, overcome by weariness. The formidable machinery of justice had been activated, its progress slow but inexorable, grinding towards an inevitable conclusion. A final text message appeared, sent by Stefan. You believe you have triumphed. You possess no comprehension of what is yet to transpire. I presented the message to Merck when he arrived with additional documentation. Mere empty threats, he dismissed. He is cornered and fully aware of his predicament. Will the evidence suffice? Anya, you have meticulously documented every detail for years. The fraud, the theft, the pervasive pattern of financial exploitation. Trust me, it is considerably more than sufficient. As if to underscore his assertion, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Local business, executive under scrutiny for alleged financial misconduct. My thoughts drifted back to Lena's drawing, the symbolic fissure separating us. It no longer appeared as a mere fissure. It was now a gaping chasm, and they were unequivocally the ones who had excavated it. My phone illuminated one final time, a message from Mr. Schmidt, the transporter buyer. I was unaware the vehicle had been stolen. I shall return it immediately. I desire no further involvement in this matter. The remaining pieces were falling into their designated places, yet somehow, the sense of impending victory felt strangely hollow. The medical staff finally deemed me fit to return home, but the true battle was far from concluded. Each succeeding day presented fresh opportunities to pursue justice, and I seized every single one. The initial step involved the anonymous transmittal of information to Stefan's employer. Detailed records of every suspicious transaction, every falsified document, every instance of misappropriated funds were included. I also appended copies of Lena's medical records and therapy schedules. precisely illustrating the severe disruption his actions had inflicted upon her essential care. The executive board has mandated a comprehensive audit, Merck reported during his daily visit. There is active discussion regarding potential criminal charges. My phone buzzed. Elena, Stefan's wife, contacted me again. He is drinking heavily, she whispered, her voice strained. He repeatedly states he will ensure you suffer the consequences. Record everything, I advised calmly, and change the locks on your residence. Subsequently, I initiated contact with every financial institution Stefan had ever interacted with, armed with irrefutable proof of his fraudulent endeavors. One by one, his credit lines and financial avenues evaporated. Sophia brought Lena for a visit, carefully maneuvering her wheelchair into my living room. My daughter's eyes, as always, were sharp and perceptive. Uncle Stefan came to Grandma and Grandpa's house again, she recounted. He was shouting about Bitcoin. Did his presence alarm you? No, Sophia contacted the police, just as you instructed. They escorted him away. I gently squeezed her hand. I am truly sorry you have been exposed to all of this. I am not, her voice was resolute. He inflicted harm upon us, Mum. He has consistently inflicted harm upon us. After their departure, an email arrived from Ingrid, Lena's physical therapist. She had meticulously compiled a detailed report, articulating precisely how the transporter's theft had adversely impacted Lena's treatment regimen, complete with professional medical opinions regarding the psychological repercussions of abruptly losing her mobility independence. I forwarded it to Merck, who promptly incorporated it into our expanding legal arsenal. The district attorney's office has expressed interest, he informed me. This has now escalated beyond the scope of civil litigation. My phone screen illuminated with an incoming call from Mother. Stefan's wife is leaving him, she stated, her tone accusatory. Are you now satisfied? Was he satisfied when he stole from his niece? He committed a simple error. No, Mother, an error is forgetting a birthday. He committed felony fraud. The police came to our house, her voice fractured, betraying her distress. Do you comprehend the profound embarrassment that caused? Do you comprehend the profound embarrassment it caused me explaining to Lena's school why she was suddenly unable to participate in field trips? I retorted. She abruptly terminated the call. Minutes later, Father called. Princess, he began, employing the childhood endearment he had not used in years. Surely we can find a way to resolve this. Just drop the charges. Like you dropped me when I desperately needed your support. That is an entirely unfair comparison. It is no more unfair than witnessing my daughter being stripped of her independence because her uncle required funds for gambling. The following day, Stefan's employer distributed a company-wide email announcing his suspension and the ongoing investigation. I had personally ensured that every local business publication received an anonymous tip regarding the unfolding story. His professional standing is irrevocably damaged, Merck confirmed later. No reputable entity will associate with him after this. My phone buzzed with a text message from Lena. Mum, are you intentionally trying to ruin them? I stared at her message for an extended period before formulating a response. No, I finally typed. They accomplished that entirely on their own. Sophia provided me with further updates from the external world. Stefan attempted to access his retirement accounts, she reported. They are also frozen. He is reportedly sleeping in his vehicle because his wife changed the locks. Good, I responded, yet a peculiar hollowness resonated within my chest. The final, decisive blow arrived when Merck appeared with a fresh set of documents. Recall the documents Stefan forged to facilitate the transporter's sale. We have traced the notary stamp. It is counterfeit. That constitutes another felony charge. I affixed my signature to the new legal complaints without hesitation. Each signature felt akin to driving another nail into the coffin of my familial relationships. My phone buzzed again, a message from an unrecognized number. You perceive yourself as exceptionally clever, sister. Remain vigilant. I immediately presented the message to Merck. Excellent, he remarked. Another clear violation of the restraining order. This will be added to the official file. That evening, Lena initiated a video call from Sophia's residence. Grandma is crying on Facebook, she reported matter-of-factly. She is posting about ungrateful offspring and the sanctity of family loyalty. Are you all right, Mum? She considered her own question for a moment. I believe so, she replied. But Mum, what occurs when all of this concludes? We begin anew, I stated, without them. Will things improve? I contemplated the cumulative years of manipulation, the persistent disregard for Lena's fundamental requirements, the unwavering favoritism shown towards Stefan at our expense. Yes, I affirmed resolutely. It will be significantly better because it will be grounded in honesty. After ending the call, I reviewed the growing collection of evidence stored on my phone: screenshots, audio recordings, legal documents, threatening messages. Each individual piece represented another instrument in my arsenal of truth. Yet, Lena's poignant question lingered in my mind. What happens when it all concludes? I did not possess a definitive answer, but I held the conviction that, at times, the sole path to healing necessitates the removal of the infected tissue, regardless of the accompanying pain. The transporter was returned on a Tuesday. I observed from the feed of my newly installed security cameras as the flatbed truck carefully deposited it in our driveway. The buyer, Mr. Schmidt, had reluctantly accepted a nominal reimbursement of €5, his sole desire being to extricate himself from the entire sordid affair. Lena, I called upstairs. The transporter is back. She wheeled herself to the window and regarded the vehicle in silence for a prolonged moment. Finally, she spoke. I don't wish to use it. What? Why not? It no longer feels secure, she explained, her voice small, as though Uncle Stefan might return and take it again. My heart ached anew. Another intangible stolen from her, her sense of safety. We will sell it, I decided immediately, and procure a new one, registered solely in your name. My phone buzzed. Merck with updates. Stefan's preliminary court appearance is scheduled for next month, he reported. The prosecution is advocating for criminal charges. He paused. Additionally, your brother has been observed frequenting local taverns and uttering threats. Have you noted any proximity to the house? None, but I am maintaining continuous surveillance via the cameras. I concluded the call just as Ingrid arrived for Lena's scheduled therapy session. The transporter has been returned, she observed, wheeling her equipment inside. We are not intending to keep it, Lena announced with unexpected firmness. Ingrid nodded, immediately grasping the sentiment. Sometimes, objects become imbued with too many difficult memories. She offered a gentle smile. Are you prepared to commence your stretches? While they were engaged in the therapy session, I checked my email. Documentation had arrived from Alina's legal representative, comprehensive bank statements, revealing years of concealed gambling debts, instances of falsified signatures, and depleted accounts. He took everything, she had written, her desperation palpable, precisely as he took Lena's transporter. I am profoundly sorry I did not recognize it sooner. A sharp knock at the door startled me. It was Sophia, her expression laced with concern. Your parents are circulating rumors that you are experiencing a mental breakdown, she reported. They claim you are maliciously persecuting Stefan due to unresolved trauma from Thomas's death. I laughed, a sound devoid of humor. Are they concurrently informing people about the active fraud investigation? They maintain it is all a regrettable misunderstanding, that Stefan obtained permission from whom? My comatose state. My phone illuminated. Mother calling again. I disregarded the incoming call. How is Stefan's search for new employment progressing? I inquired of Sophia. Not favorably. His suspension was reported in the local business publications. No one is willing to employ him. Another knock. This time it was a delivery, a large, unmarked envelope. Inside were several old family photographs, crudely slashed with scissors. A small, folded note fell out. You are responsible for this. I showed the contents to Sophia, who promptly contacted the police to report the act of harassment. They will likely want to examine for fingerprints, she advised. Refrain from touching anything further. Upstairs, I could distinctly hear Lena's laughter, resonating from her therapy session with Ingrid. The sound tightened something in my chest. How long had it been since I had heard her laugh with such uninhibited joy? My phone buzzed with a text from Merck. Stefan attempted to access your parents' home equity line. This action triggered our fraud alert. The bank is freezing that account as well, I replied. Satisfactory. What is the next course of action? Law enforcement wishes to interview your parents regarding the forged documents. They are currently refusing to cooperate. Of course, they were refusing. They had consistently demonstrated an unwillingness to confront realities concerning Stefan. Ingrid descended the stairs as her session concluded. Lena is exhibiting increased strength, she reported with a smile. However, she did mention experiencing nightmares about the transporter being stolen again. We are selling it, I reassured her. Making a fresh start. A wise decision. Trauma can certainly become associated with specific objects. She then produced a business card. Speaking of which, this is an excellent family therapist, available whenever you feel prepared. After she departed, I sat with Lena watching television. She was noticeably quieter than usual. Are you all right, darling? Grandma called my phone today, she stated, her gaze fixed on the screen. She said we are responsible for breaking up the family. And what was your response? I informed her that they were the ones who broke it first. She wheeled her chair closer to mine. Mum, are we going to be all right? Before I could formulate an answer, my phone buzzed with an alert from the security system. Motion detected in the driveway. We observed the camera feed as Stefan stumbled unsteadily around the transporter, something metallic glinting in his hand. Is that a key? Lena whispered, her voice tight with apprehension. No, I replied, simultaneously dialing emergency services. It is a knife. We watched in silence as police vehicles arrived mere minutes later, their lights flashing vividly. Stefan attempted to flee but did not get far. Vandalism and violation of restraining order, Merck texted me later that evening. He is in custody. That night, I found Lena standing at her bedroom window, gazing out at the transporter. We will acquire a new one, I promised softly. Something significantly better. This isn't truly about the transporter anymore, is it, Mum? She asked, her voice unexpectedly mature. No, darling, I confirmed. It is not, she nodded sagely. Sometimes, the things that are supposed to help us progress forward only serve to keep us anchored in the past. I embraced her tightly, marveling at her profound insight. My phone buzzed again. Another venomous text from my parents. I deleted it without even reading the contents. Some things, I realized, were simply beyond salvaging. But others, like the joyous sound of Lena's laughter during therapy, were worth every single battle fought to protect them. The day I finally chose to confront my parents, rain was falling steadily. I stood on their porch, the rhythmic chime of the wind chimes Thomas had given them years ago echoing around me. I wondered if they even retained a memory of his gift. Mother opened the door, her appearance suddenly seeming older, more fragile than I recalled. Have you come to gloat, Anya? She asked, her voice brittle. No, I replied evenly. I have come seeking clarity. The house felt unsettlingly quiet as I followed her inside. Father sat in his customary recliner, his gaze fixed blankly on a muted financial news broadcast. Stefan is gone, he stated flatly without looking up. He departed last night, attributed everything to you naturally. Naturally. I remained standing, surveying the living room, the silent witness to countless familial dramas and unspoken resentments. Did he disclose the extent of his gambling debts to you, before or after he disposed of Lena's transporter? He was acting with the family's best interests in mind, Mother snapped, her composure fraying. By stealing from his own niece. It was not theft, he possessed documentation. Forged documentation, I interrupted, my voice firm. Created while I was unconscious. Would you care to examine the tangible proof? We have no need to review your so-called proof, Father said wearily, finally turning his gaze towards me. You have always exhibited such excessive theatricality concerning every minor issue. I calmly extracted my phone, accessing a specific document. Do you recall co-signing a home equity line last month? The one Stefan claimed was essential for his new business venture. They exchanged quick, furtive glances. Would you be interested in discovering its true purpose? Mother's face drained of color. You are fabricating this. The bank possesses all the corroborating documentation, I stated, my voice unwavering. They are actively investigating it as a case of significant fraud. Were you aware that constitutes a felony offense when it involves property liens? What precisely are you implying, Anya? Father's voice trembled slightly. I am stating that you actively assisted Stefan in laundering money through your own property, I explained, each word deliberate. The bank's official foreclosure notice should arrive at this address sometime tomorrow. Mother collapsed onto the sofa, her body slumping forward. That is utterly impossible. He provided assurances. Just as he provided assurances he would repay my university fund, or cover Lena's medical expenses, or refrain from attempting to claim Thomas's life insurance money. I finished, the words laced with a lifetime of accumulated grievance. You ungrateful, insufferable. Mother began to rise from the sofa, her fists clenched. Exercise caution, I warned, my voice cutting through her anger. Every word exchanged in this room is being recorded for the ongoing investigation. Father's hands visibly trembled in his lap. We can still rectify this, Anya, if you would simply agree to withdraw the charges. Much like you rectified the situation every time we required your assistance. Much like you rectified things for Lena when Stefan declared her essential medical equipment rendered family vacations too expensive. You have always been consumed by selfishness. Mother screamed, her voice thick with manufactured outrage. Always demanding preferential treatment. Ensuring basic mobility is not demanding preferential treatment. Mother, I stated, my voice remaining calm and steady. But it is a concept you have consistently failed to grasp, isn't it? I produced another document from my phone. Here is something you may find interesting. Stefan utilized your home as collateral for his gambling debts no less than 6 distinct times within the past year. A pause. Did you even bother to read the documents you were endorsing? Their silence provided an unequivocal answer. The bank is initiating a comprehensive freeze on all associated accounts, I continued, leaving no room for doubt. They will commence foreclosure proceedings within the month. I would strongly recommend you begin the process of packing. You cannot possibly inflict this upon us, Father whispered, his voice barely audible. We are your parents. No, I corrected, my voice firm. You are Stefan's enablers, and now you are his co-conspirators. Mother began to cry, the familiar performative sobs that had always yielded desired results in the past. After everything we have sacrificed for you, everything you have done, I scoffed, a cold edge to my voice. Allow me to enumerate, ignored Lena's fundamental requirements, actively enabled Stefan's pattern of theft, defended blatant fraud, gaslit me about instances of emotional manipulation and exploitation. Have I perhaps overlooked any significant contributions? Remove yourself from our home, Father stated quietly, his gaze fixed on the floor. Simply leave. With pleasure, I responded. However, before I depart, I placed one final document on their coffee table. The district attorney's office intends to conduct interviews with you regarding the forged documentation. I would advise securing capable legal representation without delay. As I turned to exit, Mother's voice, raw and desperate, called out, You will undoubtedly regret this, Anya. Family is the only thing that truly matters. I paused at the threshold, the rain having ceased outside. No, Mother, I stated, my resolve unwavering. Family is a bond we actively choose to uphold. And I unequivocally choose Lena. Stepping outside into the crisp, post-rain air, I entered my vehicle and placed a call to Lena at Sophia's house. Did you see them, Mum? She asked, her voice filled with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Yes, darling. Are they sorry? No, I replied honestly. They are merely angry that their actions have consequences. A brief silence followed. Can we possibly acquire some ice cream on the journey home? She asked, a hopeful note in her voice. A genuine smile finally touched my lips, a lightness settling in my chest. Absolutely, my love, we most certainly can. My phone vibrated. A text message from Alina, Stefan's wife. He is gone. Left a note blaming everyone else. Classic Stefan. Another message immediately followed, this one from Merck. Bank proceeding with foreclosure. Your parents have a 30-day window. I drove towards Sophia's residence, contemplating the concept of family legacies, the intricate patterns of behavior that are either broken or perpetually repeated, the oppressive weight of deceit, and the liberating freedom inherent in truth. Lena was awaiting me outside, her face radiant. I received an excellent mark on my art project, Mum. That is truly wonderful, my darling. Ice cream is definitely in order. As we commenced our journey, she quietly asked, Are we? Are we undesirable individuals, Mum, for allowing them to lose everything? I reflected on the years of calculated manipulation, of witnessing her struggle, while they actively facilitated Stefan's destructive path. No, I stated firmly. They lost everything because they actively chose that outcome through their actions. We merely chose not to rescue them from the natural consequences of those actions. She nodded, a clear understanding evident in her eyes. Sometimes, genuine affection necessitates allowing individuals to confront the repercussions of their choices. Precisely, I agreed. My phone buzzed one final time. Mother again, I declined the incoming call. Some chapters, I understood, needed to be unequivocally closed to permit new ones to commence. The new adaptive transporter arrived on a bright, sunny morning, its gleaming white exterior reflecting the hopeful sky. Lena's name was prominently displayed on the registration documents. She wheeled herself around it, meticulously inspecting every single detail. "It is absolutely perfect," she declared, her voice brimming with delight. "And no one can take it away from me." "No one," I confirmed, my voice thick with emotion. "It belongs to you entirely." My phone buzzed, yet another call from a blocked number. They had been calling incessantly on a daily basis since my parents lost their home, since Stefan had vanished somewhere towards the west, leaving behind a trail of fraudulent checks and broken promises. "Still receiving those calls?" Sophia inquired, assisting Lena in testing the new wheelchair lift. "They will eventually cease," I replied. "Have you ascertained where your parents relocated?" "To a rental property on the other side of town," she responded. "They are actively propagating the narrative that I am responsible for dismantling the family unit." Lena's voice, clear and strong, cut through our conversation. "Mum, please come and observe this." She had already begun personalizing her designated section of the transporter with vibrant artworks from her therapy sessions. Bright, optimistic paintings depicting butterflies and expansive, open skies. There were no longer any fissures in the ground depicted, no more divided families. "They are truly beautiful, darling," I managed to say, fighting back a fresh wave of tears. "Please don't cry, Mum," she said gently. "This is a moment for happiness." My phone illuminated. Merck was calling with further updates. "The district attorney's office is proceeding with criminal charges," he reported. "They are requesting access to Lena's therapy records to demonstrate the impact." "No," I stated firmly, without hesitation. "She has already endured more than enough." "Mum," Lena called from within the transporter, her voice clear and resolute. "I wish to contribute. I want to articulate precisely what occurred." I briefly covered the phone's receiver. "You are under no obligation to do so, darling." "Yes, I am," she insisted. "For the benefit of the next child whose uncle believes they are unworthy of protection." I uncovered the receiver. "Merck, please arrange the interview. However, it must be conducted entirely on her terms." After concluding the call, I observed Lena conversing with Ingrid, who had come to approve the new transporter's setup. My daughter's laughter echoed across the driveway, strong, unafraid, and fundamentally unbroken. The security camera emitted a small alert sound, indicating movement at the front gate. I checked the feed and saw my mother standing there, clutching a solitary envelope. "Would you like me to contact the police, Anya?" Sophia asked, stepping forward protectively. "No," I replied, a sense of weary finality settling upon me. "Allow me to manage this myself." I walked towards the gate. Mother appeared smaller somehow, her once designer clothing replaced by garments that clearly originated from a discount retailer. "What is it you require?" I asked, my voice neutral. "To provide you with this," she stated, pushing the envelope through the bars of the gate. "It is Stefan's confession. He sent it to us before he disappeared." I opened the envelope carefully. Inside were several pages filled with angry, sprawling handwriting, detailing years of calculated theft, deliberate fraud, and persistent manipulation. Stefan's signature was at the bottom, witnessed and notarized. "Why are you giving this to me now?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because," she swallowed hard, her gaze fixed on the ground. "Because you were correct about everything." From the driveway, I heard Lena's voice. "Grandma." Mother's eyes immediately welled with tears, her gaze drawn towards the sound. "She has grown so much." "Children tend to do that," I stated flatly. "Even the ones you choose to ignore." "Anya, please, spare me the recrimination now. The confession should be sufficient," her voice pleaded. Can I just speak with her?" "No," I said, the word firm and absolute. "You forfeited that right the moment you prioritized Stefan over Lena's safety and well-being." I turned to walk back towards the house, but her voice stopped me once more. "I am sorry," she whispered, the sound fragile. "I understand it is far too late, but I am truly sorry." I paused and looked back at her. "You are absolutely correct," I stated. "It is far too late." Returning to the driveway, I found Lena watching me, her expression inquisitive. "Was Grandma crying?" "Yes, darling." "Good," she stated simply, nodding her head. "Sometimes people need to shed tears in order to truly learn." I embraced her tightly, once again astonished by her innate wisdom. My phone buzzed. "Alina, Stefan's wife. Law enforcement located him in Las Vegas, the message read. Facing additional fraud charges, he is requesting assistance. I showed the message to Lena. She considered it thoughtfully. Are you intending to help him, Mum? No, I replied. Some individuals can only truly learn through experiencing the full force of consequences. She nodded in understanding, then her face brightened considerably. Can we transport the new van to my art class? I am eager to show it to everyone. Of course, my love, I said, smiling. As we began loading her supplies into the new transporter, Ingrid signed off on the final mobility assessment. She is clearly thriving, she observed, her voice filled with genuine warmth, growing stronger with each passing day. Yes, I agreed, my gaze fixed on Lena. We both are. Watching Lena independently operate the lift, confidently maneuvering her wheelchair into position within the new vehicle, a sense of calm began to settle within my chest. Not precisely peace. The emotional wounds were still too raw for that, but something akin to a quiet victory, tempered by hard-won wisdom. My phone illuminated one final time. A notification from the district attorney's office, confirming the scheduled date for Lena's interview. She caught my slightly concerned expression. It's perfectly all right, Mum, she reassured me, her voice steady. I am no longer afraid. No, I agreed softly. Indeed, you are not, because you have taught me something incredibly important, my darling. What is that, Mum? She asked, her eyes meeting mine. That sometimes, loving individuals necessitates allowing them the space to experience their own fall, I said, echoing her earlier words. And sometimes, Lena finished, a knowing smile gracing her lips. Falling is precisely what they need to finally learn to recognize what is truly, fundamentally important. I watched her settle comfortably into the adaptive transporter, arranging her art supplies, chatting animatedly with Sophia about her next creative project. Strong, resilient, entirely unafraid. Retribution had not magically restored what had been taken, but it had undeniably demonstrated to them the inevitable consequences when you steal from someone who still possesses the strength and will to defend what remains. And perhaps most significantly, it had unequivocally shown Lena that she was undeniably worth fighting for, regardless of the personal cost. That realization, I knew with absolute certainty, was worth everything. Are you prepared to embark on our journey? I inquired, the key to the new transporter cool in my hand. Absolutely prepared, Mum, she replied, her smile radiating pure, unadulterated joy.